Finally reached the end of the Ranma 1/2 series. These are the 3 final volumes. In my previous Ranma video, I was talking about the preceding few volumes were a bunch of random adventures. Historically, there had been longer stories in the Ranma volumes, but the last couple had predominantly been shorts, so it would be a story that's just one chapter instead of a multi-chapter story. Some of that is still true here, but now that I know how the story ends, I can see things being laid out. And one of those things that I had also talked about in previous volumes was Ranma's mother, how they had been getting closer. Certainly the mother was getting closer to finding out what was going on with Ranma. He was becoming less successful from hiding from her, and he was getting closer to deciding to just show himself to her as is rather than try to remove the curse. But let's get into this volume. Start off with a random adventure. This is basically Ranma being a nurse to a sick patient. It was pretty entertaining. We then get a Kasumi focus story, and much like Nobiki, Kasumi is just fantastic. Anytime that there is a Kasumi focus story, it is extremely entertaining. And in this one, the family, basically everyone in the house, thinks that she's mad and is avoiding her because they've never seen her that way before. It's hugely entertaining. This, however, is the start of the multi-issue storyline where Ryoga and then eventually Ranma wind up eating these magic mushrooms that de-age them both. So we wind up with a very young Ryoga, and then we also wind up with a young Ranma because, of course, well, that's fantastic. But we do wind up with a young Ranma as well. Somewhere. Here we go. And this storyline is just amazing. It was a highlight of the book. From there, we get this story about two shampoos. The other one is a statue that has come to life, and the rest of the cast thinks that it is draining the life out of Moose. So they're trying to defeat the second shampoo. We then get the return of Ranma's mother once again, and she will appear again a bit later in the book, but this is sort of the next closest call of Ranma's mother figuring out about Ranma and also her husband. It's great, and again sets up things for later. There's a Ukiyo focused story about a guy returning from her past, and it's entertaining mostly because it's another cook-off battle, and really Ukiyo, once again, one of my favorites. I just love combat cooking. It's amazing. Then I get this funny story about a plant that shoots beans at people. Once again, very entertaining. There's a story about Valentine's Day in Japan, and it goes as expected between Ranma and Akane, which is to say, extremely entertaining. This is the next multi-part storyline, and Hinako, I've never been that much of a fan of the principal, but Hinako is a fantastic character, and in this, she absorbs so much battle energy that she winds up getting stuck in her adult form. She doesn't revert back to the child form, and she's just wreaking havoc all over the place. It's amazing. So, she's blasting. It's brilliant. I love this story. We then get this, which starts as a story where Ranma comments that his girl form has larger breasts than Akane's, and that leads to, well, predictably, some strife. But the mother comes back once again, and this is really sort of the, I don't want to say beginning of the end because it's been going on for a while, but it's the next step on the journey for Ranma and Akane to admit their feelings for each other, which is kind of weird because of how it starts, but it does go very well. And once again, here we've got the mother and Ranma. Ranma's up there. So during this part, the mother is staying with the Tendos, and Ranma gets very close to... Ranma's mother gets very close to... She suspects that Ranma is nearby, but she's always just seeing him as he's running away, as he's fleeing, and she winds up thinking that he is a lech, basically. This part I thought was brilliant. So there's hiding in a closet. The mother comes out. Ranma is hiding from her and winds up escaping under a tatami mat that she's on top of, and then leads over to a hole in the wall that he escapes through. It's, I mean, obviously ridiculous, but also brilliant. So that storyline ends, and then we wind up with... And that's a great panel. So that storyline ends, and then we wind up with two more standalone stories before the end of the book. One in which Hapasai has an incense that puts people to sleep, and instead of putting it on Ranma, he puts it on Akane, and she is still active while she's sleeping. So she's still attacking and beating people up while asleep. And then the book ends with a story between Moose and Shampoo. So as far as this goes, a lot of random adventures, but we do get some emotional stuff, some long-term story with the mother, with Akane. It's quite good. We get to the next volume, and this starts with two Ranmas after we had two Shampoos in the previous one. This is due to a magic mirror, and what I love about these stories is so much happens just on the first page. So here we have it's clear that they are out traveling, presumably training once again. They come across this mansion, and immediately everything is set up in 3 pages. Here's the mirror. A second Ranma emerges from the mirror, and then we have two Ranmas running around for multiple chapters. It is a fantastic story, and again, this pushes Ranma and Akane closer together. Also, last issue, I was talking about a Kasumi-focused story. I mentioned how I like the Kasumi and Nabiki stories. This is a Nabiki-focused issue. Ranma ruins something of Nabiki's, and then he sort of becomes her servant short-term. She blackmails him into doing a bunch of things in order so that he doesn't get charged for what he's done. But it is very entertaining. I mean, Nabiki is a brilliant character. We then get to this, which is a multi-part storyline. We're going to see her recurring for quite a while, I think through the end of this volume. But it starts out with, once again, training. So these three really, are out in the woods. They come across this place and quickly, kaboom, ruin it. It's almost a Cinderella story because she is sort of used as a weapon by her stepmothers, these three. And after their house is ruined, their place of business, really, she is sent after the Tendos, the combo really of Ranma, Hapasai, and Genma, to exact revenge, to get revenge on the family. And it's a lengthy story. So she comes to town. She is a powerful opponent, and they kind of realize that she is naive about the outside world, specifically about money in general. And it's an education. It's a story of her figuring out what she wants to do with her life away from her stepmothers. It's a great story. It's absolutely one of the highlights. And then for some reason, bunny outfits. From there we roll into, this is a one-off. So it is a Star Festival, and it is the next step on the Ranma and Akane love journey. This is a very entertaining storyline. Once again, Akane cannot swim, but she gets given a magical swimsuit that looks like, where is it? There we go. That allows her to swim and to swim well. And she's very excited about it, and things do not go well, predictably, I would say. After that, we get another vacation story. This time they're at a lake house. Ryoga is there to meet his sort of girlfriend from a few volumes ago, Akari. And everyone is trying to help the two of them meet to get together, and Ryoga is obviously getting lost even with the simplest of directions. When he has a clear line of sight to the goal, he still winds up digging underground, which obviously is not the correct way to go. Anyway, it's a great story and leads into more travel story, and this is a multi-part storyline involving the Sao Tome family and a gravesite, and the mother returns once again. This ultimately leads to Ranma revealing himself to his mother, even though he does not tell her the secret. But she gets ever closer each time, and they have multiple run-ins until... So she winds up falling off of a cliff, and Ranma jumps off, catches her. He catches her. He winds up stopping, landing on a sword instead of in the water below, so he does not turn into Ranko, but she does see him. They have a actual face-to-face meeting. It is very emotional, and then predictably Genma shows up to ruin it. It's a payoff to a long-term story, and it was, I would say, both well done, and I'm glad that it was over, because that's not something that can be dragged out forever. They had been getting closer to finding out, specifically the mother had been getting closer to finding out about Ranma, the face-to-face meeting, for a long time. So I'm glad that they finally had that moment. So that leads into future stories now with the mother in their lives, the mother meeting, well, it's just met Akane, but she's the mother's having meetings with Akane, knowing that Akane and Ranma are together, and the mother's trying to help them out. Ranma's mother does give Ranma a package to give to Akane, and it's a ring, and we get the female cast all fighting over the ring box, and really Kuno gets involved as well, because no one wants Ranma to give this ring to Akane. She has no idea what's happening, but everyone is attacking Ranma, trying to get the ring. That story winds up ending hilariously, but it is extremely entertaining watching all of them fight over this box. And I like anytime that we can get a large number of the cast together. Really, I mean, I like the individual character storylines and throwing a bunch of the characters together. So this is a good spot to see a bunch of the characters all together sort of before the end, which I haven't talked about that yet, but I will in just a minute. And this volume ends with a story in which Ukyo gets sick and the cast tries to help her out. It does not go well, but it is very entertaining. We then get to the final volume of Ranma, and I don't know if this cover can be considered a spoiler or not. I'm only going to talk about this in vague terms. I will show off some of the inside. I don't know how much of this I want to show. In here, this is almost entirely a single storyline, a single very long fight between the main cast, the really Josenkyo cast, versus another group, a new group of people that are from Josenkyo. There is a water shortage, a fight basically over water at Josenkyo, and our cast winds up going to Josenkyo to combat that other group, and obviously once again hoping to cure themselves, because if water is unavailable, then none of them can be cured in the Lake of John Man. In the Spring of John Man. So as I said, we get a basically Josenkyo on Josenkyo 2 gang fight going on. I was expecting Pantyhose Taro to show up once again, because he is the other main Josenkyo recurring character. He does not show up in here, which I found surprising. And then there's also Mint, Lime, and Herb, which do not show up in this story either. I didn't immediately think of them, but I was thinking of them later in the story of, hey, these guys are also Josenkyo relevant. Are they going to show up? None of them do. It is, I don't have a word. Like, Dragon Ball has the Z Warriors to sort of encompass the main cast, but this is the, I'm just going to say Josenkyo Warriors. It is Moose, Ryoga, Ranma, Shampoo. Genma is also present. Genma doesn't do much, but he is a twist that gets thrown in later. And Akane winds up getting kidnapped, so she is also there. This is, I thought, an extremely well done ending to the series. It does end with hijinks, so the main combat storyline ends. We get kind of an epilogue, a couple of chapters post that fight to wrap some things up, to really, I think, show the continuing adventures of the Ranma cast. My wife commented that the series ends by continuing just without the audience involved anymore. And I will agree with that, but I think we have a different opinion about that. So I like it. I think it's the way to go, to not, pair everyone off, get everyone married, and sort of the Harry Potter ending where you're just like, all right, everyone's happy and is paired up and everyone's together now. This is it ends with hijinks. It is very much a continuation of everything that has been going on for the previous 30 plus volumes. But there is progress, story, character development, I'll say, specifically on the Ranma and Akane relationship front. This is, I'm going to say, a very well done ending to a long-running series. And if you can't tell by now, then yes, I do recommend it as well. I am happy to be done with Ranma. It has taken 25 plus years to finally read all of this. I shot video for most of it, except for the early volumes, so you can see the rest of my Ranma series. I don't know what the next long-running series will be that I read. I have a couple of ideas, possibly a reread of Invincible, possibly the first 100 issues of the Ninja Turtle series. I have both. I don't know. If anyone has suggestions, please drop a comment below. I'm not immediately getting back into manga, but my wife does have plenty of material to read there as well. I've been curious for a long time about Flame of Recca. I think she has all of that as well. So we'll see. I don't know where things are going, but we will get there together, I suppose. Thank you, as always, for watching.